What's up, guys? So today I am back with another season predictions video. I started this series off a few weeks ago with the English Premier League. Now I'm coming across to American sports to talk about the NFL, which begins in just a few short days. I think it's going to be a great season full of a lot of excitement and drama. And so in this video, I'm going to tell you about my predictions for the division standings, the Super Bowl matchup, and then who I think is going to win the whole thing. So without any further ado, let's get into these picks. Alright, so to kick us off, I'm going to start with one of the easier divisions to predict, and that's the AFC East. I mean, it's just year after year dominance on behalf of the Patriots. And I don't think that's changing anytime soon. I think they're going to roll their way to a 14-2 record. Yes, it's a lot of wins, but you just look at that roster. It's one of the best that they've had in years, and yet they've been to 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls. Just incredible what they're doing up in New England, and I think that wagon will roll on this year. I think further down, you see the Jets and Bills making some improvements, but I think they're going to finish 6-10 and 5-11 respectively. Just still young teams, but getting better. And then at the very bottom of the divisions, the Dolphins at 2-14. I mean, Miami just has a lot to figure out down there, and I don't think they're going to see too much improvement this season. Moving over to the AFC West, I have the Chiefs to finish on top once again with a record of 13-3. I think they've still got the pieces in place to be an absolute force like they were last season, but will they be able to put it all together at the end? I'm not quite sure just yet. After that, I have the Chargers finishing 11-5, another solid year. Not good enough to win the division, but good enough to get a wild card spot. And then after them, bit of a drop off here. The Broncos going 6-10, not too much talent over there it seems. And then finishing it off, the Raiders will be 5-11. Yes, they've been fun to watch on Hard Knocks, but not seeing too much winning in their future just yet. Next up is the AFC North, which has consistently been one of the most competitive divisions in the league in recent history, and I think that will continue this year. It's a real toss-up at the top, but I've got the Ravens to finish 11-5 and lead the division. I think they were onto something towards the end of last season, but it fizzled out a little bit. Maybe they'll have it going again this year and be able to win the division, but right below them and just barely losing out on a tiebreaker, that's tough, is going to be the Cleveland Browns. They've got a ton of talent, one of the most exciting teams on paper. We'll see how that plays out for them. I think that they'll be right in the mix and at least have a wild card spot. Below them, it's going to be a wake-up year for the Steelers. They'll be 8-8. I just think you lose Antonio Brown, you'll lose the core of your offense. It'll be a little bit tricky over there in Pittsburgh. And finishing off the Bengals, what can you say about Cincinnati? It's kind of a train wreck, 5-11. Rounding out the conference is the AFC South, and I think Andrew Luck's surprise retirement really did put this division up for grabs. I mean, you look at just a couple weeks ago, and the Colts are far and away the favorites to win it. Now, who is it? I'm not quite sure, but I think it's going to be the Houston Texans to take advantage. I think that they're a good team, and this year, good is going to be good enough to win the division with a record of 9-7. But right below them will be the Tennessee Titans at 8-8. Still a solid young team, but maybe just a couple pieces away. Below them is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. For now, I have them at 6-10. But if they can get healthy and if Nick Foles can provide a spark, I think they could be right in the mix there. And then finishing off the division at 5-11, it's going to be the Indianapolis Colts. And it's a sad one because they would have been at the top, but you lose your quarterback with 2 weeks to go before the regular season, and that just spells disaster for you. I think they'll really struggle. 5-11 for the Colts. Sad. Alright, we are halfway there, and it's time to pick the NFC. I'm going to start with the NFC East, which I think will be a very tight division up at the top, but I am giving the edge to the Dallas Cowboys with a record of 11-5. They have had their fair share of offseason drama, but if they can put all that behind them, I think they will win a lot of games this year. And the same can be said for the Eagles, who should also finish 11-5, but will just barely miss out on the division due to a tiebreaker. It's Carson Wentz's team now, so if he can take advantage and excel, I really do think they'll go places and it will be at least good enough for a wild card spot. There's a bit of a drop after that, and then I have the Giants coming in at 5-11. That might be my craziest pick of the whole thing. The Giants getting 5 wins with Eli Manning, can you believe it? I don't know, I think Saquon Barkley is just that good. I think they'll find a way to grind out some wins there, and below them will be the Redskins at 4-12. It's a bit of a development year for them, not much else to say. Redskins gonna struggle this season. The NFC West is next, and I think this one will play out pretty similar to the way it did last year. Yes, the Rams had an ugly Super Bowl loss, but I think that young nucleus of players and coaches should be good enough to turn the page and bounce right back to another solid 12-4 year, which should be plenty to win the division. After them, I have the Seattle Seahawks, who are going to go 9-7. Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson always put up solid years, but they will miss the playoffs this year, which I think will be a disappointment for them. After that, I have the 49ers going 7-9. Jimmy Garoppolo may be back, but I have yet to be convinced that he's totally himself, so I think they will experience some struggles early on and will not get to a 500 record. And then finishing out the division, I have the Arizona Cardinals going 3-13, the worst record in the conference. What can you say about Arizona? It wasn't pretty last year. New rookie quarterback this year. He has some talent, but will he have the talent around him to be good? I don't know. I think Kyler Murray and the Cardinals will struggle this year. Now on to the NFC North, which I think will be another division that's decided pretty easily this year. I think the Chicago Bears will take it with a record of 12-4. They were great last season, but it really fell apart in the playoffs, so I think they'll be hungry for more this year and should be one of the teams to beat in the NFC. After them, I have the Minnesota Vikings at 10-6. The talent is definitely there, but last year they gave you nothing to believe in, so we'll see. It's a big prove-it year out there in Minnesota. Below them, I have the Green Bay Packers going 9-7. It's a real shame to waste of talent like Aaron Rodgers, but they have a first-year head coach, so you can't expect too much more. And then rounding it out will be the Detroit Lions, 4-12. Matt Patricia's going to have to do something special to keep his job down there. We'll see if he can or not. Our last division to cover, and probably the most exciting one to watch this season, is the NFC South. This is a three-horse race between the Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers, and I think that's the way it's going to play out. I think the Saints will edge it with a record of 11-5. They have such a chip on their shoulder after what happened to them in the NFC Championship last year. I think they come flying back with a vengeance and do enough to win the division. But right below them will be the Falcons and Panthers, both tying at 10-6. I think that they are trying to get back to their former glory. They've still got a lot of the pieces in place from previous Super Bowl runs, so I think that if one of them can do it, the other one probably won't, and we'll just see which one it is to excel and which one's probably going to drop back. But I'm taking them both at 10-6 for now. And then, of course, the weak link of the division, it's the Buccaneers. They're going to go 5-11. Not a ton to say there. All right, so we've reached the final take of the video, and it's time for a Super Bowl prediction. Well, if I had to guess here 5 months out, I'm going Patriots and Saints to meet in the Super Bowl. I think these are just two teams with the perfect combination of experience and ability, and to me, that's what wins a championship. You just look at both of them, and they just have such a standard of excellence. They've been doing it for a decade plus, where they're just always in the conversation. And then you look at just current rosters right now, and they're both two of the most talented teams in the league. I think you've got, Peyton and Breeze on one side. They've been doing it forever. Belichick, Brady on the other side. They've been doing it for even longer. Like, these are two teams that have been destined to meet in the Super Bowl, and I think this is the year that it happens. And if I were to pick one of those two teams to be taking home the Lombardi Trophy, I've got to go with the New England Patriots. And yes, I am a Patriots guy, okay? Call me a homer all you want, but you look at it, and how can you possibly bet against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick this year? They've got this absolutely down to a science. They know what wins, and now they've got some of the best talent that they've had in a long time, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think Brady and Belichick will have another Lombardi Trophy to their name, 3 in 4 years, and 7 as a pair, the most ever. It's going to be phenomenal, and I'm excited to watch it. So that's my pick. I'm going with the Patriots to win the Super Bowl this year, but I'd love to hear what you guys think is going to happen. So please comment down below what you think is going to happen this 2019-2020 NFL season. It's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this predictions video. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.